Hey, how's it going? I'm Moose Meat Brownie, and over the summer I really got back into Jackbox games. I used to love these like 4 years ago, and now I've not only gotten Pack 5, but Jack 2011 for Wii also. I've gotten so into it that I've been able to recall over 50 facts, which is not one per game, of dumb Jackbox knowledge, and I've played basically every game from Jackbox 3 through 8. So, on to the facts, I guess. Also, there's going to be a lot of Jack facts. If you have a problem with that, get out of here, you casual. There are other Jackbox games that aren't Quiplash, and Jack's like the best one. Get out of here. Fact 1. The question bumper for Jack Full Stream's data mining actually has 2 puns in it. It says, accept all cookies, don't clear your cache, and cookies the host, and cash is referencing the cash and the money you play for. In Jack 2011 episode 27, the number 4 dies and is later replaced with an F in episode 30, but there's actually a hint to who killed him, because in the same episode, the number 6 has an alternate intro, and so does 4, and there is never another episode that has 2 alternate intros in one, except for episode 37. But later in episode 32, we see the 4's funeral, and 6 is not there, but when 4 is replaced with an X, and when 4 is killed, 6 is back at it again, just happy, saying, I love you. He knew. He was happy. He's a robot. A killing robot. He was just supposed to dance, but he went rogue. That motherfucker! You know the loser rule from Trivia Murder Party, where if you get a question wrong, you'll have a very slim chance of living? Yeah, that actually originates from Jack Facebook, where if you ended a game with a negative score, you'd spin a different loser wheel to get your score reverted to $1, with a very slim chance of $5,000. And much like the Trivia Murder Party loser wheel, it's still possible. Every Jackbox game can be played with 4 players purely because of Jack 2015 and Bomb Corp having a 4-player maximum, and these games having a 4-player minimum. There's a rare chance that in Trivia Murder Party 2 there will be an event of only one living player being asked a question, where if they get it right, all other living players will get sent to the killing floor, but if they get it wrong, they'll be the only ones sent to the killing floor. Tom Gottlieb's first take of the Jack Attack instructions for Jack Full Stream were actually scrapped for being too sexy.
Tom, do you remember when we did Jack last year, and I was like, Tom, we have to re-record the Jack Attack, you sound too sexy.
It was like weirdly erotic.
Your first take at it was like so sensual.
Well, I hadn't done it in a while.
Yeah.
I kind of sort of lost my mojo.
But I like that you defaulted to sensual.
Yeah, I get why. The melody used for Jack 2011 and 2015's Fortune Cookie question bumper was actually referenced in one of the post-question jingles.
Cookie, fortune, with cookie, messages.
There's an Easter egg in both Jack 2015 and Full Stream for entering your name as Farad. This guy was actually the developer of Jack Facebook, and his name is even referenced in the Oh Brother Where Art Thou Jack Attack from Full Stream. Also, he made the Nostalgia Critic intro. Look, he's literally in Pop Quiz Hotshot. This guy's a legend. Jack Attack works every time from Full Stream is very inconsistent on the last question. I can't tell if it's meant to be talking about the games you play or the volumes, but either way, it doesn't make sense. I feel like most people know this, but all the video files for Jackbox games are actually flash files, and for the Trivia Murder Party 2 Skewers minigame, it actually isn't just some code to put a character in the spot they picked. But there is a video file that plays out every possible player, position in box, and skewer position, and if you try to open every file, I think your computer would actually explode. The screw from Jack is not only in Jack, but Bidiots too, and that's not it, because the grandpa glasses from Trivia Murder Party 2 actually resembles the screws from Jack Full Stream, so the screw is technically in 2 other Jackbox games. Every game to get a sequel in a party pack has been from the first 3 packs. There's actually a PS4 exclusive demo for Party Pack 1, and I would know because I have it. It only has Jack 2015 and Fibbage XL available, and it makes sense because those are the only 2 games that basically are the same thing from their predecessor. I haven't played the demo, and I don't know about Fibbage XL, but for Jack 2015, only the first episode is unlocked, and if you try to play any other game, the trailer for Party Pack 1 just plays instead. The 5 games in Party Pack 5 are actually connected. Jack Full Stream has Binge Pipe as a framing device. Split the Rooms host is not only Cookies Cat Mayonnaise, but there's a chance that before a hypothetical, he'll say Binge Pipe presents. Madverse City has Binge Box, which is a blockbuster parody because, it's the 80s. Patently Stupid takes place in the lab Binja Hotel. And if you play 3 rounds of that in a row, the Zeeple Dome host will show up at the end. Cookie, the host of You Know Jack, Fibbage, and Faking It, has actually killed 2 people to my knowledge. The first one is in You Know Jack Flash episode 60, where the entire episode revolves around him trying to kill Nate the intern, which was a running joke up to that point. Of course, he does it in the end by trampling him with an elephant.
Cookie, help, it's an elephant! It's going to crush me!
What's that, Nate? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite make out what you were saying on the intercom there. You know, I've always hated that intercom. Nate? Nate? Ah, yes, it is done. I'm finally free. Okay, moving on.
The second one is in You Know Jack 2011 episode 48.
Or nothing because he ate my entire brain. The average human brain weighs about 3 pounds. Let's see if that's true. Bring me an intern.
You asked for somebody, sir?
Hi, Josh. Could you stand here real still for a minute?
Sure, Mr. Masterson.
Okay, let's put this on the scale. Now, how about that? 3 pounds. I probably should have put a tarp down first.
Trivia Murder Party's final round was actually inspired by 2 other in-development games at Jackbox. It actually took the Jackbox team a while to think of the final round until they matched the 2 prototypes of the racing and the trivia together.
So this is from a game designer on the game, Mark Turowitz. He said, making everyone feel dead but still involved was the missing ingredient. I think the final round content came from a playtest for a different pitch called 66%, and we combined that with this dumb horse racing prototype. So what he's saying here is the final round for the game basically took aspects from 2 other games that were pitched that we also didn't make, and some aspects of Trivia Murder Party that already existed. If you want to know what the dumb horse racing game is, if you've ever been at a carnival and seen this game, you get the idea. Although I guess this is camel racing. I don't know where this picture came from.
Yeah, the Last Order actually made its Party Pack version debut in a movie theater before a midnight screening at Chicago's Music Box Theater, and this was basically the inspiration for the phone controller style that the series is known for. Pack 9 technically has 6 games. There's not only the main 5, but Fibbage Enough About You is a side mode and was considered a half game in Pack 4, and going off of that, Quick Sort Forever is also considered a half game, so technically 6 games. The Jackbox audience feature has no limit. The highest it's ever went was on a Dream SMP live stream, which had like 50,000 audience members, and it didn't crash like if you overload Licewater. So yeah, you might never get up to 10,000 like they say, but that's not even the limit, so why bother? So, for Faking It in Pack 3, each character has their own category, but the orange guy never got one. However, Faking It All Night Long in the Jackbox Naughty Pack actually introduced a new rapid fire category about giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and that's the only new category, so you could say that Thumb Shot is the orange guy's category that he never got. Drawful was actually made in a very rushed state, and it's because of that it uses the same gameplay as Fibbage and mouth noises for sound effects.
At this point, Drawful is essentially Fibbage with drawings, and we didn't have a lot of time to make Drawful, so we took advantage of the Fibbage structure as much as we could, so much so that the sound effects in Drawful 1 are mostly Andy Poland, our audio designer, using his voice to try to make the exact same sound effects that for each moment in Fibbage.
You Know Jack 2015 uses audio from 3 different sources. Of course, it has original audio exclusive to that game, but 30% of the episodes are just recycled from You Know Jack Ouya, and it has recycled non-question audio from 2011. This game's a mess. In You Know Jack 2011 and 2015, there's a question type which involves sorting things, and there's only 2 occurrences of that sorting question having 4 choices to sort, those being in 2011 episode 31, where it makes the question even more confusing, and 2011 episode 53, where you have to put them in a specific order that's not chronological or by quantity. There's also a few questions that are order questions but aren't, and I guess they were too easy. You Know Jack 2011 episode 32 question 1 is actually callback to another question from the ride about how you would perfectly cook a celebrity. The You Don't Know Jack full stream beta has many differences compared to the full version, not counting things that most likely weren't implemented at the time. The beta has no penalty for not answering a question. The screw is only given out to the players with the lowest scores total, instead of the players with 4 right or less on the dis or dat. And the number of audience players is always on screen. On top of that, we can also hear from the developers that non-question 3 dis or dats were being planned.
Is question 3 always dis or dat? Probably not. We're playing around with that. It's going to be early in round 1, though.
Of which never ended up being planned. Winner wheel and the wheel of enormous proportions also resembles the loser wheel from Trivia Murder Party with the skulls and the similar name. Okay, so I'm not sure about this, but I definitely think that the track Ask 2 from You Don't Know Jack 2015 is Fibbage music, either used in Fibbage 1 or 2, or was scrapped, but it sounds really similar to Fibbage music. This is another theory I have. There's no difference between the Jackbox games themselves and their canon. In the full stream reveal trailer, Jackbox games are specifically mentioned as, well, games, and in the actual game there are also 2 Jack attacks that directly reference Jackbox, and a You Don't Know Jack Volume 1 gibberish question where the answer is You Don't Know Jack that directly references it as a game. There's also a question in Fibbage 4 that mentions Split the Room, so yeah, even to the characters they're in a game. According to this Steam post, there's 790 questions in You Don't Know Jack full stream, but I really don't think this is accurate because there's 111 player's choice questions, and that would mean there's 55 player's choice events, and just the one that's a trick and doesn't give you a choice. Also, there will always be 1 Jack attack and dis or dat per game, so why wouldn't they have equal numbers? In the Wheel of Enormous Proportions, if you put in your name as redacted, you'll get the loser wheel. If you put in your name as any of the Ninja Turtles or pizza, you'll have a pizza, and if you enter your name as tiny, you'll get a tiny wheel. Also, if you put in fuck you as your question, the wheel will respond in many funny ways, as a reference to the infamous You Don't Know Jack Easter egg. The Wheel of Enormous Proportions also has some special question types that reference You Don't Know Jack. There's not only the dis or dat, but also what am I thinking of, which is actually a reference to the question type Can You Remember, originating in Volume 2, where you have to guess what the host is thinking of. The alley used in You Don't Know Jack 2011 and 2015's Funky Trash question intro is actually a stock model with some textures replaced to be references. I know this because the movie The Amazing Bulk uses the same alleyway in the first scene, and that movie is pretty much only stock assets. The full stream Jack Attack What's the Points and You Don't Know Jack 2011 episode 61's Jack Attack are coincidentally very similar, both of which having you figure out the amount of points in games, both of which have a free throw and a touchdown as answers. You Don't Know Jack 2015 episode 39 actually reuses a question from You Don't Know Jack 2011 episode 14, and it's the exact same except for the joke at the end.
The writing's on the Walmart. Suppose Walmart goes literal and starts selling commemorative pieces of the Berlin Wall. If they roll back the price so it matches the year in which the wall came down, how much will a piece cost? 1979, 1985, 1989, or 1994? Built in 1961, the Berlin Wall, which separated East from West Berlin, was eventually destroyed in 1989 by Germans from either side. In aisle 7, Berlin you can also find some 28 years of existence. Multiply that by about 13, and you have the average age of the Walmart greeter.
The worst part is that it's a reuse of a reuse since the last 30 episodes of You Don't Know Jack 2015, which 2015 episode 39 is included in, are recycled from You Don't Know Jack Ouya. I don't know why they did this. Ever wondered why Jimmy Fallon has his own episode in You Don't Know Jack full stream? It's actually because Jimmy Fallon played Quiplash on his show, but that's not the fact. The fact that this was actually a specially made version of Quiplash just for that. Such differences include no last lash, only certain people answer prompts, blue backgrounds for round 2, yellow prompt text, and no timers. Episodes 10 and 16 of You Don't Know Jack 2011 both have an exclusive question type, that being Who Said It questions, where the production assistant Chad recounts a famous quote, but not very well. I don't really get why this only appears in 2 episodes, never shows up again, and doesn't even have a special question intro. Also, I guess they were trying to make it appear more, but forgot to make it a consistent thing. To my knowledge, You Know Jack 2011 episode 16 question 10 is the only example of a wrong answer changing depending on the amount of people who pick it.
I know which one you are.
Okay, so I went through this whole thing of recording it on my iPhone, but there was no sound recorded because my phone sucks. It's true though, here it is. This took an hour, but it didn't matter anyway. You know, to make the most of it, no need to argue. For the purpose of this wrong answer, you're both Tweedledum.
No need to argue. For the purpose of this wrong answer, you're all Tweedledum.
Also, I found out that there's special dialogue for tied score going into a dis or dat and round 2. Also, if you do nothing on a dis or dat, you don't lose money for each you don't answer like in the old games. This specific Steam post is actually the reason Jackbox games have extended timers. You know Jack 2011's manual actually has specifically written example questions. Here's some of them now. It's actually a specific question in Trivia Murder Party 1 that can ask what the room code of your game is. Trivia Murder Party 3 was actually hinted towards in a single line of scoreboard dialogue in Trivia Murder Party 2.
Hosting my games in this old hotel is just a temporary thing, you know. I hope to one day kill people at a summer camp.
Meaning they've been planning to do Trivia Murder Party 3 for like 5 years now. You know Jack the Ride had a video released before it came out, and it has many visual differences, non-specific values, and what sounds like Buzz's voice, but it could be Nate.
Better luck next time.
Also, I'm pretty sure some of these questions aren't even in the game. Another thing about You Know Jack the Ride is that its games episode doesn't have its own Jack attack, instead using the literature episodes one. But there's actually a reason why it uses that one. It's because there's no Jack attack for that episode. Not even unused in the files, it doesn't exist. The reason why the literature Jack attack even shows up is because it has the same question ID as the missing games one. It is literally pure coincidence. Funky Trash, a question type originating in You Know Jack 11, is actually never referred to as Funky Trash, instead being called Send in Your Trash.
You should direct garbage. It's time to play Send in Your Trash.
It also shows up very sporadically. It first shows up in episode 5, then doesn't show up until 16 episodes later. It also shows up in episode 37, then doesn't come back until 14 episodes later. It's also in You Know Jack 2015, but doesn't show up until episode 28. It only shows up in 2 other non-Ouya episodes. It's also the only question type to originate in You Know Jack 2011 that came back in You Know Jack Fullstream through datamine. The story episodes of You Know Jack, being Lawn Wax in 2011 and the Vegan Cannibal Supply Company in 2015, are pretty well known for being the only semblance of a story You Know Jack ever had. But both of these episodes actually had prototypes through previous side You Know Jack games. Lawn Wax was actually inspired by You Know Jack Flash episode 57, the April Fool's episode, where all the questions were just stupid nonsense, and there's a Jack attack that's just repeating the answer. Meanwhile, the Paul Rudd episode in 2015, as it's been nicknamed, may have got its inspiration from You Know Jack Facebook's celebrity episode, with Cookie's cats playing as guests, and having the entire set of questions refer to that guest, even having the Jack Attack Beatus pick the similar sounding answer. The reason why Party Pack 3's menu background is an insane asylum is because the trailer describes the Party Pack 3 as being insane. So yeah, that's why. You Know Jack 2011 for PC is widely regarded as the second worst version of that game. I say second because the DS version isn't even the full game, but I don't know if that counts because that's not the full game. Anyways, the reason why it's so bad is because it only has 2 players, no online multiplayer, and no DLC, but it was actually going to have DLC. If you look at the achievements, it says right there. Final episode of You Know Jack 2011, Cookie Masterson's eBay store, the wrong answer prize is Billy O'Brien, Cookie's dummy, and the guest host for the Who's the Dummy questions. But he actually comes back in You Know Jack 2015, which begs the question, how? Did he get bought back from the player? Did he just get replaced with another dummy? Or is the player winning just not canon? It's quite the plot hole. Last Water was actually inspired by a question type in You Know Jack 5th Dementia, that being Bug Out. They're both similar in the ways that they have Phil Verderelli voicing the host, having you squash incorrect answers by deducing which isn't right, and the voices for the bugs being basically the same.
Everybody knows at least one member of the Grateful Dead.
In Germany, you need a license to own a hamster.
You Know Jack 2011 episode 28 actually has 2 different sponsor logos, and I'm pretty sure it's only different on PS3 and Xbox 360. And that's it. That's all the facts I have. Hope you enjoyed this pseudo iceberg video. Okay, bye. Also, this is going to be the next video.